This is a presentation of BSRN, Box Studios Radio Network. The Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here is your host of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for March 21st, 2024. This is season 13, episode number 33. And this is episode number 418 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Bob Howard. And first of all, I just want to say that I spent about an hour and a half earlier today talking with Colan Fitzgerald of the Binghamton Black Bears, defenseman, one of the original Black Bears. And what a great story he has. I mean, you know, he grew up in the suburbs of Chicago and, you know, went to college and eventually made it to the pros. But he had the guts to tell a story earlier today that you'll get to hear on this broadcast about maybe not being at the right place at the right time, maybe not being in the right place. And what I really liked about it was he talks about being with the Huntsville Havoc, right? The team that he just came down from. And it may not have been the best place for him. And, you know, Colin is not going to, you know, mince words. He's going to tell you, you know, kind of what happened. And, you know, I told him there was no way I was going to let him talk about this if I thought it was going to hurt his career, possibly getting another shot at the SPHL or playing with an SPHL team. I'm glad he's here back in Binghamton. I'm glad that he's back with Coach Sherwood, who he's talked to 3 or 4 times over the past 4 or 5 months, right? He was a Black Bear last year, played 35 games with Binghamton. And in the first season, he played 52 games, almost the whole season, right? Almost got all the games in. He's played in all 5 games in the playoffs, right, that the Black Bears have played. Actually, I think the Black Bears have played – no, they played 5 games, 2 against Watertown and then 3 against Danbury. And he is a Black Bear. He is a Binghamton. He calls this his second home. And, you know, in some cases, guys want to be challenged. And so he went and played for the Huntsville Havoc. And he was promised something, and it just didn't turn out. And things happened in January, and he spent a lot of time not playing hockey. And I think he's very happy to be back here with the Binghamton Black Bears. And, you know, maybe he could have started this year with Binghamton, and maybe he could have had a great season here at Binghamton, and then maybe somebody would have called him to go play either in the SPHL or in the ECHL. The goal for some of these guys here in the FPHL is to make it to the ECHL. You know, sure, they would love to get to the ECHL and maybe have an AHL or an NHL team see them and see that they have some skill and some ability. But as we all know, that may not happen. So getting to the ECHL is truly, really the dream here for some of these FPHL players. And I think some players will go up and tell you that the FP and the SP differ in maybe the style of hockey, but not necessarily one is better than the other. Okay? And we can talk about it all day long. We know that the money is a little bit better in the SPHL. Okay? And so maybe that makes it a step up, but is it necessarily better for someone's career? And I just wanted to start off with that, right? You know, maybe for Colin, that wasn't the best thing. Maybe going and playing in the SPHL with the Huntsville Havoc wasn't the best idea. Maybe playing another 40 to 50 games here in Binghamton would have been the thing. Because at some point, the FPHL is going to grow in a way, and hopefully for the best and for the better. And guys are going to be able to have relationships with coaches here in the FPHL that will help them get to the ECHL. Because if there's anything that I think Coach Sherwood would love to do, is to find an ECHL team that he could send a player or two to show them that these guys can play at that level, right? We already know that Jake Schultz has played with Worcester, and he's played in the past in the ECHL. We know that Donald Oliveri has, right? So we know that guys who play at this level play at that level. It's just a matter of getting the right chances. And it's going to take the FPHL coaches to go out there and bridge relationships with the coaches in the ECHL and say, listen, give this guy a chance. Give this guy a look-see, right? And so when I think about Colin and I think about the story he's going to tell you guys, okay, I think that maybe, and he probably knows this, but it was a good challenge. It was a good experience for him to go play for Huntsville. And I've got nothing against Huntsville. I'm not saying anything bad. I'm going to let him tell the story, and you guys can listen to it. It's a very interesting, and there's about 50 minutes of this interview. And so it's a long interview. Colin is a good talker, right? And that's something I'm always looking for in interviews, a guy who can express himself and articulate and tell a good story. Colin is that guy. Colin's going to be a guy that I'm going to call back to come back on this show, even if he's on a different team, maybe next year or maybe during the playoffs. I'll ask to talk to Colin because he can articulate the game, his life, and story very well. And I think that's important. So, all right, enough of that. I really cannot wait for you guys to listen to the interview. But let's get into this. I didn't even do my must-reads yet. Okay, the Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search for Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast and subscribe. Please join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook and search for Power Play Post Show. That is where I make all of my announcements first of guests who are going to be on the show. I do polls to see how you guys are listening and taking in the Power Play Post Show and how much you do and whatnot. Check out binghamtonhockey.net for all of your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. And, of course, on this edition of the Power Play Post Show, as I was just talking about it, the returning defenseman, the king of the penalty kill, Colan Fitzgerald, is on the show, and we'll get to that in just a little bit. But we do have a lot of Binghamton hockey things to talk about. First of all, let's talk about the 3 games this weekend against the Watertown Wolves. Okay, so it's 3 games, 3 nights. Friday at home against the Wolves, and then Saturday and Sunday both in Watertown versus the Wolves as well. Okay, so 3 games and 3 nights against the Wolves, 1 at home, 2 on the road. This season, oh, and by the way, that game on Sunday will be at 7-ish o'clock, right? Ugh. Horrible. Sunday games should always be 3 or 4 o'clock. I'm just going to throw that down. All right, so this season, the Black Bears are 8-1-0 against the Watertown Wolves this year. At home, they're 6-0, so that fares good for Friday. And they are 2-1 in Watertown. And they'll play 2 more games in Watertown. And then I believe the final game might also be in Watertown of the season. Later on in the year. I'll check on that. As we all know, the Wolves are led by Tate Leeson, who has 33 goals and 28 assists for 61 points in 36 games this season. You cannot count out Trevor Lord as well. I think he's their best player, regardless of his numbers, who has 23 goals, 36 assists, and 59 points in 44 games. I know that Coach Sherwood is also a fan of Tate Leeson, thinks that he's got a little bit of everything in his game, and he really does. He's got that grit. He can be dirty if he needs to be dirty, and he can score goals, and he can set up players. He is also a good player. They have 2 really great players right there. Then there is former Black Bear and property Michael Mercurio, who's only has 10 goals and 29 assists for 39 points, but he's a key part of their leadership for that team and everything, and you got to look out for him. But it also tells you that the 2 top guys have 44 points and 61 points, and then you have Michael Mercurio, who's in 3rd in points with 39. The Wolves have 2 netminders, Eloy Bouchard, who has 7 wins, 10 losses, and 1 OT loss with a 4.04 goals against average and a 9.05 save percentage. But they also have well-known goalie Spencer Kozlowski, who is 4-13-2 this year and has a 4.72 goals against average and an 8.84 save percentage. I think Spencer at times has played better than his numbers show. That's just my opinion. But I stand by that. I think he's played better than, unfortunately, his numbers. And sometimes that Watertown defense is just jelly in front of him, and people just, can just fly right through it. The Wolves this season, like the Binghamton Black Bears have done multiple times this year, the Wolves this season are in 5th place in the Empire Division with 48 points, and they have 15 wins, 26 losses, and 5 overtime losses. The Wolves' power play is 20% on the season. They have scored 37 power play goals, 7th best in the FPHL, and the PK is 75% and have given up 66 power play goals. Binghamton, I'll tell you right now, if the Wolves allow the Black Bears on the power play, this is going to be a bad weekend for them, which ranks 10th in the league. Contrary, the Black Bears have the number 1 power play coming into the weekend, firing off 64 power play goals, scoring 29% of the time on the power play. And on the flip side, the second best PK, the Black Bears kill 84% of the time and have only allowed 34 power play goals to their opponents. So I'll be honest with you. My gut feeling here is we clinch the division. We probably clinch it possibly on Friday, but we're gonna clinch it no matter what. By the end of the day, Saturday, I think the Black Bears will have 2 wins. That'll be the 6 points that they need, 5 points really, to get the division. I think they're going to probably take 2 out of 3 games this weekend against Watertown. That's just my gut feeling, right? I don't think you go 3-3 and win all 3 games, but then go 3-3 and then win all 3 games when 2 of those games are on the road. I think it's tough, and it's a lot to ask, right? But hey, if they get a point out of Sunday, great as well. At this point, you got to stop thinking about division and seeding and stuff like that. It's not going to matter, right? If Columbus finishes ahead of you, fine. They'll have the home ice advantage in the finals, which could be a 5-game series. Anyways, it depends, but it could be, right? And if that's the case, you're going to get at least 2 games in Binghamton. And let's be honest, they're good in Binghamton. They play well at the Visions Veterans Memorial Arena. It's a great rink and whatnot. Not that Columbus isn't, but again, you have to get there. So let's take that off the board right at the moment and go on from there. Okay, so 3 games, 3 nights, Watertown. I think they're going to get 2 out of 3. They're going to have the division title all wrapped up, which I know is something as a goal for Coach Sherwood. He looked at me at one point. I was talking to him down by the locker room, and he looked up at the rafters. He goes, I want a division title up there. I want a division title hanging with all the other banners that we have at the arena. And I think he really wants that. So the division title means something to him. It really does. All right. So moving on, let's go to the known roster updates, okay? These are all the things that have been posted and put out there. I'm not going to talk about things that I might talk about with Coach Sherwood on the air through the rest of the season and into the playoffs, just to keep kind of what he's doing intact until game day, 30 minutes beforehand. You might see something from there. I put a post on our Facebook group. I know some people had some questions about that. It's not that I don't think I can't talk about certain things, but when it comes to the line combinations and who might be in the lineup, we're going to wait until about 30 minutes beforehand. When the Black Bear social media releases it, then I can talk about it, even though in some cases I might know ahead of time. Again, when you forge a relationship with the team, the coach, some of the players, there's certain things I'm just going to know ahead of time, but I'm going to make sure that I keep some of that stuff to the vest because they want to make sure that other teams don't catch wind and maybe make a change for whatever reason. However, here are the things that we know and that we can talk about right now. Donald Oliveri was put on the 14-day IR. It is unknown outside of the locker room what his injury is. Black Bears released Peter Izzo. He had 1 goal in 2 games played. Mac Lewis officially returned from his loan from the Birmingham Bulls of the SPHL. He had 1 goal, 4 assists for 5 points in 29 games played up there. He has played 8 games this season with the Black Bears and had 1 assist in 34 penalty minutes. Mac Lewis's game is not the scoring type of game. He's a two-way forward that is going to help you move the puck, but he's also going to be smart defensively. He's also a tough. He's a guy that's going to give you some moments. He's going to get into scrums. He's going to stick up for his teammates. He's good like that. For Mac to play in the playoffs, he will need to play in 7 more games, which should be easy for him to do for the second-year player. Okay, the Black Bears signed 2 more collegiate players. Blake Tosto. Tosto played in 4 seasons with the D3 program at Lebanon Valley College down in PA. I really down by Reading and that whole area. The center has 33 goals, 36 assists for 69 points in 81 games played down at that D3 program for LVC. We'll just call him that. I like that. LVC. That's what we're going to call Lebanon Valley College. Now, Brody Thornton comes to us from a familiar place. Thornton played the last 4 seasons with the Adrian Bulldogs in the ACHA. The D-man has 23 goals, 29 assists for 52 points in 110 games played. Now, he is a D-man, which is great because we've had a lot of forwards come in collegiately, and Robbie Nelson joined the team, and he's been released. So it's good to have Brody Thornton there. It's good to have that 7th or 8th defenseman on the team that is going to be able to help. You know, we also know that Matthew Ballard might come back down, and if he does, more than likely Jake Schultz will be released. He's not returning this year, folks. I hate to say it, but he's not. So I will say this. When Matthew Ballard is able to come down, I'm pretty sure Jake Schultz is going to be released and whatnot. So, but it's good to have someone like Brody Thornton there. We'll see what he's got, and he might be a player that will be a good player to have next year, depending on if some of the defensemen don't come back, right? Some guys might go play in the ECHL or try an SP team. All right. Coach Sherwood was fined for his actions in the game against Elmira on Sunday. He was given a game misconduct for inciting by a coach, team staff, game misconduct after Dan Weber, Mark Pazzer fight, which followed the 2-minute boarding penalty on Dan Weber. Now, I probably should have pulled this up ahead of time, and I'll see if I can actually get to it and find it in time. But I want to talk to you a little bit about the fact that, here it is right here. Okay. I got right to it. Andreas Johansson commented on the Power Play Post Show Facebook group when I posted about this. He said, and I think this is important to read, and I think this is important to talk about. The league is really trying to crack down, which we agree with, on coaches and bench staff interacting or inciting opposing players. There was a situation the day before, so this was on Saturday, between Elmira and Danbury, which levied fines on both coaches. So I think they were disappointed to see this happen the very next day. I'm not surprised about that at all. I would say I don't think Brandt started anything in the situation, but I don't have a problem with the fine. Again, I think they're trying to cut back on those type of things actually happening. And I don't think he does either. He's a very passionate coach and will defend the players. Obviously, his methods are working as every player on the team will go to war for him, which I totally agree 100% with all the guys that I've talked to. The hit from Weber, I think it looked clean, like a clean hit from where I was, although the timing as to where it happened was extremely unfortunate. And we really hope the Elmira player is recovering well. And also spoke to Jurich yesterday about it. So, you know, Andreas has a good relationship still with Tyler Jurich, and they can obviously talk about the situation. I'd probably tend to agree that Weber didn't see the other guy coming, Pozar, but I understand why he did it, and I think we'd like our guys to have done the same. Weebs did drop his gloves and 100% the right thing. So I don't think that part was a big deal. Just normal hockey. Totally agree. I watched the video a few times. I know there was a conversation on the Facebook group, and, it got a little heated between two people. I will say this. Pozar knew exactly what he was doing. He knew exactly what he was doing. He skated after Weber. After Weber came out of the box, he went to go to be a part of the play. So Weber was heading towards the play. The Black Bears were down 5-4 with the people on the ice. Weebs came out. He started heading across the blue line, and right behind him was Pozar, because I think Pozar was kind of waiting for it. I think he knew the penalty. They had 3 men in the zone with our 4 guys, believe it or not. They were giving up a little because there was an Elmira player down by the blue line, and then Pozar up high, and he came in and followed Weber in. Weber turns around, sees him coming about 3 or 4 feet, maybe 2 feet, and I don't think Pozar had a chance to jump him. Here's what I will say, and I think, it's lucky that Weebs turned around and squared up, right? He squared up, he dropped his gloves, they went at it, right? I am worried about what Pozar would have done if Weebs continued to go towards the play. And I think that's the problem that Coach Sherwood has. And I'll be honest with you folks, I haven't talked to Coach Sherwood all week. And if he hears this and he agrees with me, then I think the problem I have with the situation, this is my problem with the situation. I think if Weebs did not turn around, Pozar would have jumped him from behind. And that's a dangerous play. We've seen that in the NHL. We've seen people get hurt. So here's my point. You do that again, that type of play where you come from directly behind from someone and he doesn't look at you, you better just skate on by. Because if you go and pull a Bertuzzi on somebody, that's not good. That's not good. Weebs didn't deserve that, just like the kid didn't deserve to get boarded into the rounded thing. But you know what? It was still a good, clean hit. The kid knew the hit was coming. Right? And Weebs put on a very clean hit. What you were about to do, Pozar, was not clean. That was dirty. And you know exactly what you were going to do. You can see it from watching the video. And the only good thing about it was that Weebs turned around. That's how he protected himself in that situation. And that's my point on it. And I know I got a little heated. I do apologize, guys. But I loved what Andreas said about the situation, and I agreed with him 100%. Okay, off with that stuff and everything. I'm glad Coach Sherwood only got the fine and did not get suspended. Let's talk about the 27 unanswered goals, because there's still some information out there that I just don't think we've gotten to enough of, right? So the 27 unanswered goals this past weekend, an FPHL record thanks to the research of Taylor Welch. Taylor, good job on going through all that. Oh, my God, my brain probably would have broke if I tried to do that. As it is, I was going through Binghamton hockey history and trying to find stuff. Also, no other team in Binghamton hockey history has done this feat as well. Not even close. I looked for shutouts in a row, like 3 shutouts in a row, and maybe, but no, nothing like this happened in Binghamton hockey history. So this is not only just an FPHL record at this point. This is also a Binghamton hockey 52-year history record as well. This past weekend will go down as the most goals scored in a 3 games and 3 nights at home. So think about that for a second, guys. 3 games and 3 nights at home. This is the most that's ever been done. Okay, but it's not the most goals that the Black Bears have scored in 3 consecutive games. No, there was a 3-game set on 4-7 in Delaware, 11-1 win, a 4-8 at Delaware, an 8-5 win, and a 4-14 at Elmira game. That's 29 games in 3 consecutive games. So in 3 consecutive games, 3 in a row, even though they weren't on consecutive days or 3 games and 3 nights. But that's not even the most goals scored in Binghamton hockey history. In 3 games and 3 nights, the BC Icemen scored on 2-9 of 01 versus Elmira, a 3-7 loss. In And then the next night, 2:10 at Elmira. Okay, so they went from home to Elmira, both games against Elmira. They won a shutout, 7-0. And then 2:11 on Sunday at Mohawk Valley, they won a game 18-4. That's 28 goals in 3 nights. So that is their record for 3 games in 3 nights. But at home, the Black Bears have the record for 27. So, yeah, you can break down stats so many different ways. Now, if you get rid of the 2-9-0-1 game and go to the very next game after the 18-goal game, you have the 2:10 at Elmira, 7-0. 2:11 at Mohawk Valley, 18-4. And 2-14-0-1 at Mohawk Valley again, a 6-0 win. That's a total of 31 goals in 3 games played. Pretty impressive. Pretty cool. But the Black Bears did something it was great. But what makes the Black Bears, what they did so impressive is that it was 27 goals bookended by just 2 goals the whole weekend. A Justin Barr goal from Mississippi, and then the last goal of the weekend was by Dustin Jasso. 3 wins, 9 points, phenomenal weekend for them. That was just, I wanted to throw one more mention about that. I know we talked about it on Sunday's show, and it's been talked about online so much. Great job by Taylor Welch for doing some of the research on the FPHL side. I really wish the FPHL had a record book that somebody had gone through, but I don't think it's ever going to happen. It'd be nice if it did. It would take someone a lot of research to really set up a book. Okay, this is going to be the longest episode of the season because we have a phenomenal guest coming up, and I want to get right to it. I do apologize for going for so long, but like I said, there was a lot to talk about. So if you have to listen to this 2 or 3 times to get through the whole darn thing, I understand that as well. Okay, so coming up next here on the Power Play Post Show is Colan Fitzgerald of the Binghamton Black Bears. We'll be right back, right after this.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers.
Hi, this is Brandon Buczynski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. Very excited to have this gentleman on. He's got a great personality. He's got a ton of energy. And he's back in Binghamton now. That's right. And he was a part of history-making weekend here with the Black Bears. He is Colan Fitzgerald. Colan, welcome to the show. Welcome back to Binghamton. And I know we got a lot to talk about, but thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me on, Bob. I'm excited to be on. It's an honor, and happy to be back in Binghamton. It's like I told you earlier, it's like my second home, so definitely happy to be back.
Well, I know a lot of the fans who have gotten to know you over the last couple years really, really enjoy you. I've heard nothing but great things about the fan interactions, and I think in the FPHL. Maybe in the SPHL and even the ECHL, fan interaction is probably the biggest and probably the most important thing a player can do other than playing on the ice is that fan interaction, just because it sells tickets. It provides a reason for fans sometimes to come back is because they had that really awesome interaction. Would you agree from your time both in Huntsville and Binghamton how fan interaction is so important?
Yeah. 100%. I'd say in Huntsville, the interactions they kind of blocked the fans off from us at games. It wasn't as much as how here in Binghamton, the fans are right there, giving us high fives on the way out to the ice, and we're talking and signing autographs after the game. It wasn't as much as that in Huntsville, but no, I totally agree. I think back to when I was a kid, we used to live in Michigan, and I go to the Plymouth Whalers OHL games, and I still remember the guy, Ryan Ramsey. He would always take time, out of the game or whatever, if he was at a practice, whatever, and he'd, say hi to me or give me a stick or whatever it was. So I've I've always thought of that, and I try to carry myself like he did.
Now, you were born in Burr Ridge, Illinois, just a suburb outside of Chicago. How long were you in that suburb area of outside of Chicago before you guys moved to Michigan?
So my parents are originally from suburbs of Chicago, and they moved to Michigan for my dad's job. And I don't know exactly what year they moved there, but they basically drove back to Hinsdale, Illinois, to have me born in 1998, and then we drove back to Michigan. I was in a hockey rink, I think, 24 hours later, watching my brother play after I was born.
Wow.
So yeah, we ended up.
Do you remember that game?
No, no, not at all.
So you grew up mostly in Michigan then?
We ended up moving back to Chicago, to Burr Ridge, then when I was in first grade. So whatever 1998 to my first grade would be.
Fair enough. Okay, gotcha. So you guys came back to Illinois. So tell me about youth sports in that area of the country, right? Because, of course, with Chicago, you got two baseball teams. You've got the Chicago Bulls, one of the most iconic, franchises in basketball or even in sports. And then you have the Chicago Bears, who pretend to be a football team. We're not really sure what they're doing these days. Let's be perfectly honest and everything. But there's a lot of influence, right? So your brother played hockey, I believe, but your brother also plays minor league baseball right now. So talk to me a little bit about youth sports for you guys back then.
Yeah, the city it's amazing. I'd say that it was kind of like, it wasn't a question of, are you going to play sports? It was a question of, what sport are you going to play? And
the two of you played baseball and hockey.
Yeah, I actually have two older brothers, and we all played baseball and hockey growing up, and we played some other sports, but baseball and hockey were the mainstays, and I owe a lot just to them. They were playing these sports, and I just kind of had to fall in line and follow the party. So. But yeah, Chicago it's a great area. I think with the Blackhawks going on their Stanley Cup runs that they had with that dynasty team, that helped hockey like big time in the Chicago area, and it's kind of died down since. But I think with Bedard signing there, it's starting to pick up again. And but yeah, like you said, the sports history there, there's a lot, and going back to. All the way back to my dad and his dad, my grandfather. They tell me stories about walking to the old Comiskey Park for White Sox baseball games, and yeah, there's a lot of history there. So it's easy to fall in love with sports in Chicago.
Is it offensive to ask you whether or not you're a White Sox or a Cubs fan?
My dad is a White Sox fan, but my brothers and I, we grew up as Yankees fans, which was
really
kind of funny because my brother Ryan, that you mentioned, the minor league baseball player, he got signed by the Boston Red Sox when he first turned pro. So
how did that go? How do you think he processed that in his brain? Because when you grow up a Yankees fan, especially at the age group that we're talking about here, and I know you were born in '98, which means that you missed out on the '96 World Series, and then you were like 1 year old in '98 and '99, obviously 2000. They're winning championships, but then they won again in 2009. So how do you think he processed that in his mind, that the Red Sox draft him, yet he's a Yankee fan in heart?
I think he was really happy. He went undrafted out of college and had to play independent baseball for a team in Gary, Indiana called the Gary South Shore Railcats.
Nice.
And he grinded out a season there, and then the Red Sox ended up buying his contract going into the next year. And so yeah, I think he was just super pumped, to be picked up by any team. But my oldest brother Brendan, he was obviously happy for him, but he's like, I refuse to wear any Red Sox stuff, even if your name's on it. He's like, I'm not wearing it.
Yeah, my nephew was really good in baseball. He was a pitcher and star pitcher here for Windsor High School and everything. And I told him, it's like, listen, if you ever play college or pro and you get signed by the Red Sox, I'm sorry, I'll disown you. It's just, being a Yankee fan is, you're hated for being a Yankee fan, right? Because that's just the way it works. Because, of course you root for the evil empire and stuff. But, it's like, and people hate the Yankees just to hate the Yankees, right? It's like one of those things.
Yep.
So it's like I told him, I was like, yeah, no, I can't wear anything that would be associated with the Red Sox. So you guys played hockey and baseball growing up. And then decisions have to be made when you think that there's a possibility to play college, whether to be, play pro and stuff like that. So for you and your brothers, when does that decision make to decide for you for hockey and for them for baseball?
Yeah, I'd say my brother who ended up playing baseball, who's playing ball still, Ryan, he got offered a Division I scholarship for baseball. I want to say his sophomore, junior year of high school, and that was kind of like the sign for him to like, okay, well now you're gonna have to hang up hockey, and because you can't risk getting hurt at this point.
Of course.
But him and my oldest brother Brendan, they're 1 year apart, so they played together, obviously, in high school, like baseball and hockey. And so it was like tough for Ryan to want to hang up hockey, like wanted to play with Brendan. So they finished out Brendan's senior year, Ryan's junior year. They played, one more year of hockey, and then Ryan hung it up his senior year of high school.
Right. And he's the one that's playing in the Royals system right now, right?
Yes. He's now with the Kansas City Royals. He's at spring training right now. I'm not sure where he's going to get assigned, either AAA Omaha or the big league squad. We'll see what happens.
That's really exciting. I mean, I would have to imagine. I mean, listen, my brother was a great athlete as well and everything, and I was 6 years younger than him. So for me, I was always looking up at him when he was playing sports, whether it be football, or wrestling. When he did all that. And I can only imagine what it's like for you to have a brother that is literally inching his way through the minor league systems as well. And it must be pretty exciting.
Yeah, no, it's really fun. I watch all the games with my mom, dad, and then Brendan. We watch the games in the summers, and we try to make it to as many as we can. Hopefully, obviously we want him on the, I guess Kansas City's close too, but Omaha is close to us if he's on the AAA squad this year. So we'll be able to go to a lot of games this summer. So we're looking forward to that. It's really exciting, and he deserves all of it. He's one of the hardest workers I know.
That's pretty awesome. Is there a little bit of, I don't want to say jealousy, because jealousy is such a negative word. Sometimes people consider it. But do you guys envy each other a little bit because you're playing some pro hockey, he's playing pro baseball? Do you ever have a conversation and be like, wow, God, I wish I was back out on the ice? And you're like, hey, I wish I could be out in outfield again, especially doing it. Do you guys ever have that kind of conversation?
No, it's funny you say that. He's always he's a little bulldog, so he loves hockey, and he has said multiple times, he's like, I should have gone the hockey route. Like, it's looks like it's so much more fun, and he's having to play in the minors. It's 6 games a week, and your only off day is like Mondays, and it's usually you're traveling, so it's and you're playing 100+ games, so it's a huge physical and mental grind, but you can't sell hockey short either. It's a big grind too. But no, he has said that before. I haven't really said that to him about baseball, but I do miss the game. I'd be fine with just playing in some adult league or men's league in the summers. That'd be enough for me.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that. Tell me a little bit about St. Rita High and playing hockey there. Now, I'm guessing that was your high school, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, they were one of the perennial high school hockey teams in Illinois. They actually, two older brothers went to Fenwick High School, and St. Rita ended up beating them multiple times. Even when Fenwick was ranked number 1, they would beat them in the state playoffs, and then the conference that both the schools were in, they would beat them in that. So their coaches knew that there was a third Fitzgerald out there that hadn't committed to a high school yet. So they started recruiting me, including their baseball coach, and the baseball team is also a perennial baseball team. But yeah, I go there and we don't end up winning anything. So
my
4
gosh.
years, but it was fun. It was good.
But you seem to have a scoring touch with St. Rita High. I mean, I'm seeing double-digit goals and everything. Were you playing defense at that point still?
Yeah. I was playing D. I played. I think my freshman year I was like double rostered on the JV and varsity team, and then the next 3 years I was varsity, and I got like the all-state selection junior senior year. My senior year I got like the best defenseman in Illinois award, something like that. So yeah, it was a good time. I was surrounded by a lot of good players though, so I think that was what allowed me to succeed like I did.
What did you learn about yourself as a hockey player when you're playing at that level? You're 16, you're 17, you're 18 years old. You're right in that age group and everything. What did you learn about yourself as a hockey player and how you needed to play the game at that point?
I think I really started to see how I could impact the game offensively. I had, when I was playing just Double-A Central States as a little guy, I was, always told to kind of just stay back and be the defenseman, and the defenseman just stays back and stops the goals. And, I finally started to realize that I had really good speed on the ice, and if you, know how to use that and use it in like certain situations, you got to, read the play and make sure it's safe with what you're doing. But
Colin, you make a good point right there. It's about hockey IQ, right? Knowing when to do something is probably almost as important as whether or not you've got the skill to do it, because knowing when you can do it means that you have an upper edge on maybe the other players on the ice and everything, and that helps you, do things that maybe skill-wise, one-on-one with somebody, you couldn't be able to do, but because of your hockey IQ, you've already planned 2 steps ahead, that type of thing, and whatnot. So when did the hockey IQ start to come into play for you?
I think I just got to attribute that to my older brothers.
Really?
I always had to play at, when they'd have friends over, if I wanted to play with the big boys, I had to step it up and find a way to compete. And that was, from day one, I was playing as, the younger kid with the big guys. And we also played a lot of video games. I don't know if that had something to do with it, and being able to just see plays on the screen, playing NHL together, and seeing plays develop. And but yeah, I definitely attribute that to my older brothers.
The decision to go to Indiana University, can you talk to me a little bit about that? Obviously, you're a guy who can speak very highly and can talk about ACHA hockey, because club hockey has always been considered it's just club hockey and everything, yet we're seeing a lot more players come from not just Adrian College but other ACHA schools that can go and play in pro and everything. Talk to me a little bit about the decision to go to Indiana University.
It was mostly just a decision for based off how good a school it is academically.
Sure.
Both my brothers did finance, majored in finance, so I knew they had a good business school there at Indiana, and hockey was just going to be a side thing for me. Didn't even know if I was going to play all 4 years or what, but like you said, I think club hockey, the stigma is
starting to go away.
Starting to go away.
Yeah.
It's I'd say it's come a long way in just a few short years here. There are some schools still that like they do, you know, like they'll come out and play, and it's like, okay, like they shouldn't be, you know, they shouldn't have a hockey team. This is, you know, that those schools are, it makes sense, but most of these schools are, you know, your UNLVs, your Liberties, your Adrians, your Minot States. You can go down the line. You pick pretty much any school in Michigan you want. Yeah. They have, you know, unbelievably competitive ACHA teams, and yeah, as you said, you're seeing more and more of these kids that are now coming into the pro leagues after they're graduating, and I think that ACHA is starting to, you know, kind of put NCAA D3 schools on their heels, because
a little bit
kids, when they're, you know, coming out of high school, they're used to their you know, friends and students are packing the barn if they're playing high school hockey, even AAA hockey. People show up. They're used to that support, and you go to these kind of lower end D3 schools that nobody even knows exist, and there's, you know, a couple thousand kids that go to the school. You compare that to, hey kid, would you want to you know, come here to UNLV? You practice at the Vegas Golden Knights practice facility. You know, the Vegas Strip is there and whatnot, and fans are going to show out. You're going to get treated, you know, top notch. It's like it kind of becomes a no-brainer for these kids to maybe go the ACHA route. So yeah, it's definitely come a long way in just a few short years, and it's awesome to see.
Yeah, I know Binghamton University did really good last year, you know, in their club hockey, you know, tournament, and won a national championship for in the, you know, the division that they're in and everything. And I really do think it's changing. And I've actually talked to a lot of people who are in Division I, and they said, listen, there are some schools right now that are either doing club hockey or doing Division III or Division II that could come up to Division I hockey and actually start to get some good players to come to them through the portal, right? There's the transfer portal that works out really well, and some players that are maybe on the third line or the fourth line at a Division I school can go to one of these newer schools and be on the first line and get a little bit more, you know, recognition, or get a little bit more playing time, so to speak, and whatnot. Right. There is the ability out there, I think, for college hockey to grow even more so than it has, and that includes these club teams, these really good club teams, especially in Michigan, like you said, that could really help expand collegiate hockey. Because one of the things that we can talk about here, and I'm pretty sure you're pretty well aware of it as well, especially being, you know, outside of Chicago for most of your life and everything. There are so many good American-born players that can play college hockey and then go play in the NHL. We've seen that a lot. My favorite hockey player of all time played for the New York Rangers, one of the best American-born defensemen, and you know, one of the best American-born defensemen played for the Detroit Red Wings. So it's growing a lot, and over the last 20 to 25 years, just American-born defensemen or American-born players, it's just gotten so much better.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that there's kids out there that they there's like when they're young, they hear stories about the ACHA, and that's kind of like their first impressions. You know, can do a lot to you, and once they hear that, they're like, I don't. That's not me. Like I'm, you know, going to the NHL and whatnot, so they don't even want to explore their options down that road. But yeah, I think it comes down to a big thing is the school, just being supportive of it. And once you have an arena, I think you kind of, if you're a Big Ten school, like say Indiana, like if you build an arena there, like kids are going to come play, both boys and girls. They're going to come play. It's, you know, a Big Ten venue and good education, and then you have a sick arena. Like players are going to come for sure.
And what's interesting is we had Brendan Stanko here, and I'm sure you played against Brendan up in the SP and everything. Brendan Stanko down here killed it. He killed it down here. And obviously, he played with Bond and Stone and Connor Smith and everything, with Adrian. But my gosh, what he did here in Binghamton was just outstanding. And he's the type of guy that I think, with a couple more years, he could see ECHL hockey for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. Stanko's the man. I got to play a little bit with him last year.
Sure.
When we signed him as a college guy.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, we had a few battles this year in the SP. He's like you said, and talking about hockey IQ, he's top of the level there, and just a good two-way center that he knows how to play the game, and he's also not afraid to lay the body. Or he caught me a couple times. I remember a Roanoke this year. So, but no, I totally agree with you. He's a good player.
So that's awesome. One of the jokes that I had with some of the D3 guys and the couple Adrian guys that I've had here on the show is I would like to see 4 of you guys. You guys can pick whichever goalie you want, put it in the net, and I want to see 4 ACHA guys go against 4 D3 SUNY ACT school guys, and really see. And I've asked everybody, who do you think would win in everything? And everyone kind of said, probably the D3 guys and everything. I don't believe that. I've seen what Connor Smith can do. If Stanko was one of those guys, I'm sorry, but I think the D3 guys would have a lot of problems with those guys. Do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, there's been some games you can look at. There's been some ACHA teams that have gone and played some NCAA D3, even some NCAA D1 schools.
And fared well.
Liberty, I think, got a win against maybe Long Island.
Sure.
There's been a couple others, but yeah, it's. I mean, at the end of the day, it's what I've seen from just the 2 leagues I've played in is, and this isn't a shot at anyone, but nobody has been that crazy good to where you're oh man, what am I doing here? Nobody's been Connor McDavid good, where you think I shouldn't be playing in this league, or I should go turn in my equipment right now. So I think it'd be obviously competitive, but yeah, I think it could go either way.
Okay, interesting. I really think I need to get Sherwood on this and get him to set up. He's laughed every time I've brought it up and everything, but I really think Sherwood, near the end of the season, before playoffs, mostly non-contact, we need to get 4-on-4. We got Colan Fitzgerald here. He could be one of the defensemen. With the, we'll figure it out. We could figure out a team and everything.
Yeah.
So how did you get hooked up with the Binghamton Black Bears in 21-22 season? I know Rod Davidson here was the coach and everything. How did you get hooked up with this team?
My senior year at Indiana, we didn't end up playing at all because of COVID.
Yep.
So I wasn't really ready to be done with hockey. I felt like I just had more to give to the game, and I mean, it's a great game. I love it. So I wanted to keep playing, and didn't know anything about the FPHL, SPHL, and I kind of just pursued my options and saw that they offer free agent camps. And so there happened to be one, a Binghamton Black Bears and a Watertown Wolves joint free agent camp happening right in my backyard in Chicago, 20 minutes from me, and paid the whatever $200 to participate. It was a 3-day event, and the coach at the time was actually Henry. I forget his first name.
Yeah, he went up to the ECHL shortly.
Correct.
He started. That's
I want to say Mike or Mark, but so Coach Henry was the coach there, and then obviously Clarkey was the coach of Watertown, and Henry offered me a professional tryout contract at the end of that camp, and so I went ahead and signed that, which was basically an invite to camp, PTO, if you want to call it that. And 2 weeks later, a week later, I decided, well, I did well there. I'll go try my luck at an SPHL free agent camp, and Vermilion County Bobcats were hosting their free agent camp in Fishers, Indiana, which is a hop, skip, and a jump for me. So I went there. My mom came with, and I'm forgetting the coach's name there now too, but he ends up offering me offering me a PTO to training camp. So I'm like, wow, this is cool. And so then, like, it gets closer to training camp time, and Vermilion County was very strict about their COVID regulations and rules. So it wasn't going to work out there for me. So I just decided to come to Binghamton, and Rod Davidson was then the coach after Henry got sent up to the coast, and showed up to training camp not really knowing what to expect. Just knew that I was kind of chasing a dream that if I didn't chase, I would regret it my whole life, and didn't really have a spot on the team either. I had made it through the first hoop of getting the PTO into training camp, but now I had to earn my spot out of training camp, and that was what I did, and it all just kind of worked out.
Now, who did you pair up with the most? I remember when you first got here, you looked like you were 12 years old. You still got a young baby face to you, and everybody at home who's listening to this is probably going to laugh and go, "Oh my God, he does. He looks like he's 14, but he looked like he was 12 when he first got here." Who were you paired up with the most in that first season?
You mean like as a D partner?
Yeah, D partner.
I initially was playing with Eric Oganezov.
Yep.
And then I'd say we played together for a good portion of the year until Cameron Yarwood signed onto the team, I want to say in like January maybe.
Right.
And he became my D partner then for pretty much the rest of the year. And it kind of would switch between him and Kyle Powell, who I'd be playing with. But
that's interesting. Yeah. That's interesting because both of those guys move the puck very, very well, right? I mean, and Cameron has a skill set like you've never seen, and Kyle Powell tape to tape passing better than anybody in the league, without a doubt. Nobody better. That's why he has so many assists. That's why he still holds the Binghamton Black Bears assist record right now with 94. Nobody, was able to do what he could do going from his stick, from tape to tape. Nobody could do it better than he could. Something is interesting. Did you learn a lot from both of those guys?
Oh yeah, for sure. They took me, especially Powell. He kind of took me under his wing, and I'd say that Yarwood, he always was able to just kind of calm my nerves.
Really?
Being the young guy going into these games against the big bad Danburys or whoever. He would. His thing was always, you just tell me to ball out. He knew I was a good player, and he just let me know that it's just another hockey game, and to trust my skills, and everything would work out. But Powell was he was more of a classy vet that takes you under his wing, make sure you have everything taken care of that you need. There's no problems outside of the locker room, like off ice things. So no, they were both great among other vets, Jurich and some other guys. But I had a good group of vets showing me the ways.
No, absolutely. No, okay, so the last two seasons, the playoffs did not end the way anybody in Binghamton wanted it, whether you be a player or a fan and everything. The Danbury hat tricks got in the way both years. What was it about Danbury those 2 years that just made it? I mean, you'd win the home game and in the playoffs, and then the 2 games in Danbury, you guys could not beat them in Danbury. Now this year, you haven't been around long enough, but they can beat Danbury this year, and they've beat them in Danbury 8 out of 9 times so far this season, which is pretty impressive and everything. But what was it the last couple of years against Danbury that was so difficult to get past them?
It's a really tough place to play, especially come playoff time. They pack it in there, and it's a pretty rowdy environment. And I think that we kind of just would get away from our game plan. Those fans are literally right in your ear, right behind you. Some of the signs they make are pretty shouldn't be shown on TV or repeated on the air.
Fair enough.
But, they're good at getting under guys' skins. But yeah, they've also just had good teams too. They've put together good teams, and I mean, you know as well as anyone, come playoff time, it's not necessarily the team that has the best talent. It's whoever works the hardest and finds a way to get the puck in the net and keep the puck out of theirs. I feel like it came down to a couple bounces here or there, and it could have been our game. But yeah, that's those have sat with me for a while, especially after last year. It's like, this is deja vu, and it's I don't want that to happen again.
And if I remember, there was also an injury that happened at the end of the season as well, right?
Yeah, there was.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Because this wasn't just a simple hockey play, so to speak. It was a very dangerous play. And I think it's important for any young listener that's listening to hear about the severity of what happened. And I don't want to bring up any bad mojo for you at all, because it was a scary hit. Can you talk a little bit about it?
Yeah. You're talking about the one that happened at home in the game one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so JT Walters, he ended up getting it was pretty much a really well-performed slew foot, and he ends up hitting his head, and he's unconscious, and he's there's blood, and we're already winning at this point.
Yeah.
We were up by a few goals. The game was pretty much over, and that was not fun.
How does that affect a team, though? How did that affect you?
I mean, it for me personally, it was just if anything, it was like more motivation to like, Wally's he's one of our guys, and if something happens to him, it's like it's go time. And for me personally, it was just now we have to win this for Wally. Like we need to win tonight, and then we need to finish off the series, and then we rally behind all that momentum and keep it going, and we win the cup for Wally. That's that would be the mantra. And I think for some other guys, it can be a little frightening, or kind of scare them when they see something like that happen, because it's like, that could have been me, or they could be coming for me next kind of mentality. But yeah, for me personally, it was obviously you're a little you get a little fire lit underneath you, and you want a little payback. But I've always learned that it's best to just win the game, and that's where it hurts them most, because they end up in the end hurting us physically and winning the game and winning the series. So it's you always want to focus on trying to win the game. And yeah, for me, it was kind of like I thought we'd be able to rally around that and win it for Wally, but it didn't work out.
Okay, you're back here with Binghamton now. You've already scored 2 goals, had 2 assists in 4 games. But let's talk about the first half of the season for you. You played with Huntsville. Again, I'm going to say this so the fans can hear this. I don't want you to say anything that would, maybe hurt your standing with any SPHL team. But from what it sounds like to me, you didn't enjoy necessarily all of your time in Huntsville. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because you said the fans were great. You said they were crazy and wild and whatnot. But maybe your experience with on the team wasn't the greatest. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the fans, like you said, were amazing. I think they just continue to sell out home games.
14
over and over.
14 now.
Yeah, 14 now.
Crazy.
They're it's absurd. So yeah, unreal support from the fans. But no one's better than Binghamton fans. But
thank you. They thank you. The fans here in Binghamton thank you for that.
But yeah, I nothing against the organization. They treated me as as good as any other organization, and my teammates were amazing. I loved going to the rink with the teammates.
Even that stinky Brian Wilson, even that guy too. Come on.
even Willie,
he was the enemy last year.
He's an unreal Frisbee golf player, I will say.
Really?
He is. Yeah, he's unreal. He's going to be on like SportsCenter, ESPN, the Ocho, or wherever they have Frisbee golf on, and he's going to be on there.
I love a good dodgeball reference. Fitzy, you can come on this show anytime if you're going to give me a dodgeball reference. Anytime. That's awesome.
Yeah, played with him once, and I'm like, I'm not coming again. This wasn't fun. You hustled me.
He hustled you. Oh, even better. So back to Huntsville. I'll talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So the team was great. I was just, I'm playing ACHA. I'm coming from the Fed. I'm kind of just, this kid they're going to give a chance to. They're going to give me a chance to compete. That was word for word what when they signed me, that was what the coach, you can go see it, that's what's written. And I was the only non-returning D from the team the year prior. Some of those D had been there for a couple of years at this point. So I'm the new guy. And it felt like, during the year that it was, I'd be getting pulled off in situations that, it was like D-zone draws, 4-on-4s, I wouldn't get any chance on a penalty kill.
And you're good on the penalty kill. You are good.
I
that's your thing.
Love blocking shots, and I feel like my speed helps me on the kill to kind of
create odd man rushes to go out and get a shorty. Right, exactly. Yeah, that's what you're good at.
Yep. So, and that was, it was tough for me to show up to the rink every day, and I gave 100% since day one there, but it became tough coming each day and giving everything I got, and then just continuing to get the same playing time results, even though I felt I deserved better. And I'm a super humble guy, and I'm a team first guy, but it was really tough for me to go through that and average about 10 minutes a game and barely impact the game. It was I have 29 games played and 6 points, and
that's not you.
That was no, and that was what was really tough was, I didn't feel like I would play good in the games, but I didn't feel like I was showing my true capabilities. And looking forward to the future, I was like, well, our other SB teams going to think this is the true me, and it's going to ruin my career. A bunch of things going through my mind when I was there going through that, but it was that was tough. But again, I'm thankful they gave me the opportunity because, it is what it is. And again, the teammates were amazing. And if I had the decision, back, I didn't know anything prior. I could have been treated the same way at another organization.
Right.
So I don't regret the decision, but
or you could have been a superstar here in Binghamton and had like 15 shorthanded goals, but then you broke your thumb. Talk to us a little bit about what happened after you broke your thumb.
Well, if anyone's seen the movie Slapshot, that is what took place in Peoria back in whatever it was, January. We played them 5 games in a row. 2 at home at our place, and then we went to their place for 3. And Peoria is known for, kind of their aggressive play, especially when you go play them at their place. And my family came for the series, and the Friday game I ended up scoring a goal actually, and we won like 4-3. And the Saturday game, all hell breaks loose. And it was, I kid you not, it was the movie Slapshot. We weren't even playing hockey anymore. It was it was bad. And there was a whole thing that people are trying to say I started it, but
really
it was I got cross-checked in the back from Hageman, their captain, right in front of our net, and they score like 2 seconds after that because I just got taken out of the play. So I'm trying to, like, talk to the ref, like, come on, like, that's ridiculous. And they're, like, celebrating in the corner, but as one of their, Alec Bear, he's coming by to go celebrate, he kind of just gives me a quick right jab to the face as he's coming by. And then as he's skating then back to his handshake line, he gives me a quick slash. So
Ooh.
3 things happen to me, so I'm like, I've had enough. So I go ahead and give him a slash. And my guys had all gone to the bench because the goal had just been scored. We were doing pretty much a line change. And
Sure.
Four Peoria guys turn around. It's a 4-on-1 on me now.
Oh
So it was like a line brawl. My guys come flying back to help me. Actually, Brian Wilson held a guy for me. It probably saved my life. But we had a big. I think it was like a 20-something minute delay there, and then just a bunch of other stuff the rest of the game, and we ended up losing like 4 or 5-1. We had guys suspended and whatnot, and their coach even said like our trainer heard him say I was number 5 up at Huntsville, and their Peoria coach said he's like I don't want number 5 finishing this weekend. Like somebody take him out.
Really?
So. Our trainer let me know that. It's like, well, there's only one ref in the SP, and guys know that. You can get away with a lot.
Right.
And
because for the fans that don't know, because most pro hockey leagues now have been doing the 4-man system for a good 15 years now. The AHL did it, and then the ECHL took place, and the Fed obviously does a 4-man system and everything.
Right.
But in the SPHL, there's only one ref and 2 linesmen, like the old days and everything.
Yeah.
And as Colin is alluding to, you can get away with a lot of stuff because one ref's looking this way, you could be kicking the crap out of somebody, outside of his purview.
Yep. No, there was. I'd have a new injury every game. It was absurd, and then you're going going into the Sunday game. It's like we literally felt like we were preparing for war, and our Cole Reginato, Don Procopio are 2 big tough. They're our fighters, our enforcers. They're suspended, so It's like guys like me are like. What's going to happen here today? Like, am I going to have to start just swinging my stick as a weapon? Like, this is crazy. And I ended up having a really nice assist my first shift. And this is like this whole weekend, I'd really kind of like they turned me loose and kind of just let me play. And then, that later that Sunday game, I'm on they put me for a shift up on forward because we were short guys, and I was on a breakaway, and I got baseball swung slashed by Jordan Ernst, and he broke my thumb. So I tried to play another shift, couldn't do it, and just sat and watched. We ended up winning the game, but that whole weekend was just an absolute mess. And you start to question, like, what are you doing for a couple $100 a month? Is it really worth, breaking bones and scars on your face and, getting your teeth knocked out potentially from guys that they don't care. They'll go home and sleep all the same. Like
and then your brother says it looks like fun. So go figure, right? Did you see my thumb? It does this now instead of this. But it's the process of coming back to the team after the thumb injury that really was kind of difficult for you, right?
Yeah, that was kind of where. Once I broke my thumb, I kind of wish I had just left Huntsville then, but I had to get hard casted for a month, and once I got that taken off, it was still like a little stiff with like the wrist because they had how they casted it. The wrist had been immobilized as well, so I had to take a week to get it kind of get going again. So I was ready to return to play, and the coaching staff told me they were just going to give me another week, just precautionary. I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And then that week goes by. Another week comes. They're like, we don't think you're conditioned fully enough to be, in the games. All right, I'll do what you want me to do. Sure. And then another week comes by, and it's now Parents' Weekend, and my parents are there, and my oldest brother Brendan's there, and we're going to play Evansville at home. It's supposed to be a fun weekend. I'm thinking I'm getting activated off the IR, and they tell me before the game Friday that they like the 6 guys that they have on the back end, and I'm a grown man. I totally respect whatever they wanted to do. I respect, if they don't think I'm good enough, I'm totally, I'm not here to, I'm better. I'm not here to, go to, dispute that. I whatever you think, I'm totally fine with that. I just wish they had told me that a few weeks sooner, because I could have come here sooner, and
because you feel like Binghamton is a home, and that someone like Coach Sherwood wants you on the ice. He wants you to go to battle for him and for your teammates, correct?
Yeah, and that makes it so much easier to play. It's whenever younger kids ask me for like advice on how they can just be better at hockey or make better plays, whatever it is. Not even just hockey; it's anything. Confidence. You gotta be. Every time I step on the ice, I'm literally delusional and convince myself that I'm the best player on the ice.
Fair enough. But you have to do that. But you have to do that, right? Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. I have to do that, or else I won't play good.
Do you think Connor McDavid still has to convince himself of that? Because at one point I think he probably did, and now he probably is. I mean, the skills competition for the NHL this year was just insane. If that's what he does on a daily basis, I should have never laced up the skates ever, because that's crazy, some of the stuff that he says, oh, this is what I did in practice just to get ready,
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, and he set up the skills competition.
Yeah.
He helped set them up, and he got the $1 million prize. He just rigged it all for himself.
He did rig it for himself. Okay, so you come back to Binghamton. You're here. You have to play in the last 15 games to be eligible for the playoffs. Colin, are you a little nervous about that? Because I got to be honest with you, when I heard that you were coming back and there were 15, I looked at the schedule. I was like, "There's only 15 games left. That son of a B needs to get in and get playing and not have any suspensions, no injuries. You literally got to play the next 11 games, because you've played 4 so far, just to get into the playoffs. Because I know, if more than anything, you want to play on this team and get to the playoffs and get to the championship game."
Oh yeah. That's that's one of the reasons I wish Huntsville had just been upfront with me and straight to the point, because I could have gotten here sooner and avoided being in this position now. But it is what it is, and Sherwood said, that's a risk that he and Andreas are willing to take. And
they believe in you. They believe in you.
Yeah, and that's it's like you said, it's really nice to kind of go from a place you're unwanted to a place where you're really wanted, and they definitely believe in me, and I already got the talking to that I'm not allowed to fight. I can't really chirp or say anything to anyone, so
we'll just let Coach Sherwood chirp people, because he seems to do that a lot himself. So.
Yeah, I was mic'd up, I think, on Sunday's game, so I was making sure I didn't say anything to anyone. Don't want to get suspended for anything.
No, I totally understand that. Okay, so you come back, and this past weekend, 27 unanswered goals. I'd be an idiot not to ask you, did you guys have any effing clue that you guys were even in the process of doing something like this? Because this spanned over 3 games. Mississippi's Justin Barr scored the first goal, and I believe Justin Jesso, everyone's favorite person on the hockey ice these days, he scores the last goal, and you guys score 27 goals in between. 27 unanswered. I can't find anywhere in Binghamton hockey history where that's happened before. In the Fed, it's never happened before. I think 23 or 24 was the best that someone could find. You guys did something that hasn't been done in Binghamton hockey history. That's 52 years. And in the Fed history, for 15 years, no one's done 27 unanswered goals. Did the team even realize they were doing this?
I don't think so. We were just kids out there again, loving the game, buzzing around, and the horn just kept sounding, and it was, you'd look up, and it's like, oh, who scored now? Is just keep going down the line. You get a goal, and I don't think we fully understood, but it was a fun weekend.
It definitely is an interesting weekend. Obviously, Mississippi comes in; they're a little shorthanded. You guys take well advantage of that, and as you should, right? You know, you guys are tuning up, getting ready for the playoffs and whatnot. But then Elmira, right? Elmira has been playing better as of late. I know you haven't been in the league to see that, where they started off slow and they've come along a little bit. But then you know, Elmira comes in, and you guys continue that process of just score. One of the things that you've done, and I did mention it on the Power Play Post Show Facebook group, is that you are the only guy in the last 3 years to score a shorthanded goal. What is it about being on the penalty kill and this confidence and this ability to go score a shorthanded goal that you just have this knack for?
I don't know. I feel like it's kind of like the hockey gods just presenting me with some good situations, some good puck luck, where the just certain times where I see plays develop, and I've also been just kind of given that free rein from my coaches the last 3 years here, and you know, when you have that ability the green light to read the play and go for it, it can turn into stuff like that.
It's I think it's the fact that they have confidence in you, and that's kind of very important. All right, before I let you go, I want you to talk about the fans and the relationships that you've kind of created here in Binghamton, because when the Huntsville thing kind of went down, you had already had a few conversations with Coach Sherwood. You told me that. Obviously, you have a relationship with him that means something to him, means something to you and everything. But can you talk about the relationships and that you have with the fans here in Binghamton, and how the team has that relationship with them as well?
The Binghamton fans they've been unreal. There's, you know, I could start naming people, but it's a long list.
Sure.
And you know, every game when you come out after out of the locker room, and you know, everyone's screaming, going nuts, and you're signing autographs, and the ushers there, you know, every time they got to, you know, force people out because it's you know, they want to talk, take pictures, and I always feel a little bad that they're kicking them out, but no, it's like I said, that's what's kind of made this a second home for me.
Yeah.
The people, they, even outside of hockey, you know, they message you on Instagram or Facebook, and they, you know, hey, like, do you need, you know, grocery help, or do you need what you know, whatever, their gift cards to whatever place, and it's the fans are just it's unreal, the support, and also like the hockey knowledge they all have.
Sure.
They understand like what we're going for, and having had an AHL team here, they know a thing or two about hockey, and they support us 100%. So it's, for me, every day, whether it's practice, games, when I'm suiting up, it's, you know, I think like, you know, somebody's coming to the rink to watch me today, and I need to give them my best because they're here supporting me. So it means a lot, and I think it's a big reason why we're successful here in Binghamton.
I know a lot of the families have been here. Has your mom and dad been able to make it out to Binghamton for a game? Any one of the 3 years?
Yeah, they came. The first game they came to actually was that playoff game, playoff series against Watertown.
Okay.
Last season.
Great.
They attended the game one at Watertown, and then game 2 here.
Well, that's great, and hopefully they'll be able to come back out again.
They're planning on it.
Oh, perfect. That's awesome. It's good to hear. Colin, thank you very much for coming on the show. Really appreciate it. You have definitely been the longest interview that I've gotten to do this year, so thank you so much. We really appreciate it. It's great to have you back. To me, the SPHL, the FPHL, they're both single-A hockey, so regardless if you play there, you play here, it's still the same opportunity no matter what. And thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you so much, Bob. It's been an honor, like I said earlier, and I'm always happy to hop on and talk some puck. So
Perfect.
I appreciate you having me on.
Perfect. All right. And we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Well, if you're still with us, thank you very much for listening to the Power Play Post Show. That was Colan Fitzgerald. Man, he could tell a story. Great talker. Great to have him on the show. I've done a ton of interviews with players all throughout the years of doing the Power Play Post Show. And I have to say that was one of the best interviews that I've ever done. So again, this weekend, 3 games, 3 nights. The show, I haven't decided if I'm going to do the show before the Sunday 7 o'clock game or after the Sunday 7 o'clock game. So if that's the case, you guys will probably hear that most of what I do with the weekend wrap-up show on Monday. I think most of you guys listen to it on Monday and Tuesday anyways, probably going to work or at work or whatever it might be. So either way, it'll be out sometime Sunday night or Monday morning. We'll figure that out. Of course, 3 games and 3 nights for the Binghamton Black Bears. 1 at home. It's Sock Out Cancer Night in Binghamton on Friday. What a great cause. Great show, great jerseys that they've got all lined up, and you guys can bid on them. And I know a lot of that money goes to the charity. I believe all of it does, but I could be wrong. I don't know the inner details of the jersey auctions completely. So don't quote me on any of what I just said. Let's just not do that. Okay, so the Power Play Post Show is on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on whichever platform you listen to your podcast, and please subscribe. Join the Power Play Post Show Facebook group. Just go to Facebook, search for Power Play Post Show, and please join. Check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your Binghamton hockey information and curiosity. Thank you to Rob Lapolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our musical director, and defenseman Colan Fitzgerald. Thank you for listening, everybody. I am Bob Howard, and this is the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.